Crypto. It's known for its high stakes and ability to turn people into an overnight millionaire with nothing more than a few coins found between the couch. But the reality is that the risks far exceed any of those kind of rewards, and as you should all hopefully be well aware by now, those sort of horror stories far outweigh all of the millionaire ones. But in the case of this video, there are a few select altcoins that I strongly do believe will create more crypto millionaires than anything else in 2024, and the best part of all is that they haven't really even moved compared to the likes of gaming, AI, and the layer 1 altcoins. Now, from all the recent calls I've been on with many of you guys and my subscribers, I know how many of us are finding it very difficult right now in the current bull cycle because we feel like we've missed out on those huge gainers again, like Near Protocol, Solana, Mina, ICP, so on and so forth. But I don't want you to worry. The altcoins I'm going to plan on showing you all today are just as impressive with what I'm preparing to be at least 50x or more gains per altcoin. And yes, I really do mean that. You're going to have to stay tuned to hear what I have to say. Now, before we go ahead anymore and jump into what this narrative actually is and which coins I'm looking to buy, I want you to please remember, if you enjoy the content at any point throughout this video, do not hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe for more daily crypto alpha. So what am I talking about? Well, it's one word and one word only: launchpads. Now, technically that's two words, but launchpads, right? So launchpads are a very big part of crypto, and fundamentally, if you don't know anything about launchpads, I will hopefully try to bring you up to speed here today and introduce you to some really quality projects, and also projects that you can buy depending on your circumstance in the market right now. But the reason I bring these up is because we have a very small window to actually make money from these things, which is basically right now. Especially if you have a crash in the next month, these are going to be even cheaper than they are today, which means that we have to take advantage, right? We absolutely have to. This is a way in which we can make consistent multiples without really investing too much, and I'm going to show you all the proof you possibly need to today. This particular narrative was very popular in the last bull run, and I think thanks to gaming particularly, it's going to be even bigger in this bull run. So what is Launchpads? What am I talking about here? Well, a Launchpad effectively is a project that launches new cryptocurrencies on them. That is simply as best as I can put it in the most layman terms possible. Now, as we invest in these projects, as the retail customer, we have access to new projects at extremely cheap prices, meaning that if we buy and get, the chance to buy these tokens on the Launchpad, we typically have anywhere between 2x to 5x cheaper than what the project actually launches at when they launch on a decentralized exchange. Hence, they're called IDOs, initial DEX offering projects, right? So Launchpads are really good because effectively you can buy $50 of a token if you get into one of these successful launches here, and that $50 can turn into $5,000 very quickly. Here's some stats from the last bull run. PokerStarter, as you can see over here, 117x was the average per project throughout the bull run, basically. You had BSCPad over here at 101x. Keep in mind, you can't quite see this actually. As you can see down here, the all-time high ROI was 304x, 329x over here for BSCPad. Literally just absolutely mind-bending, okay? We're talking about, again, investing $100 into one of these projects and getting back 30,000 at a 300x. We have Avalanche over here. We'll talk about DAO Maker as well. We'll talk about paid as well and pools. So I'm going to touch on the best ones that I believe will perform well into the next bull run, because while these projects are for the most part extremely cheap right now, we have to remember, guys, it isn't just a buy the coin and sell the coin. We're extracting every single cent out of us putting money into the market, because we are using those funds, those staked tokens in this case, that we invest in these projects with, to farm IDOs along the way as well. It's literally a no-brainer. But there is some small fine details you have to know per project here, which might be the difference between you getting this one and that one. So here's a quick example of what I want to talk about. BSCPad, again, it was this one over here. I'm not going to talk about BSCPads today. I don't really want to, because it's very siloed. It's only really on the Binance Smart Chain. But these guys, their top tier is a blue diamond. 75,000 tokens you have to acquire to stake to get that. Now, 75,000 tokens right now is $15,600 US, but in the bull run, back over here at these prices, $2.50, it was $184,000. Actually insane to think about. Again, this is why we have a very small window to succeed right now, because in the bull run, you might not want to get the top tier. You might only look to get the very bottom tier just to have, a chance to get into some of these. And right now it's like $200, whereas in the next 12 months, that might literally be like $2,000-$3,000. So this is why it's very important to now. Plus we can farm tokens between now and then as well. Now I want to just kind of quickly compare this before we start with the best performing narrative we've seen so far in this bull run, which is the AI narrative. These AI narratives, Render, FET, Tau, and AGIX, these projects have pretty much performed 250% up so far, and we've seen S-Fund, DAO, Polls, and GameFi, these 4 assets we'll talk about today, have performed up 53%. So they haven't skyrocketed, right? They haven't gone up to the highs of AI, layer 1s, layer 2s. But again, we are very early. This is actually a good thing. Sometimes when people get in, as I said in the introduction of this video, to these larger projects that have already pumped, you've now reduced your 30x multiple maybe to a 10x or less. So the projects we'll be talking about here today are the ones on this list. Thanks to CryptoRank, we've actually got a nice list of all these launch pads. This list, it just feels like an endless thing, right? You can just scroll forever. But we're going to touch on the ones I believe are the best based on some information, okay? So we're going to touch on 7 predominantly here. The DAO Maker, PokerStarter, Seedify, GameFi, Pools Finance, Paid Network, and Trust Swap as well. So the top 6 and number 10 over here. So why have I chosen these? Well, because they are, of course, all low market caps right now. Seedify and DAO Maker are way up there, almost 200 million. So again, I don't think that token particularly will 50x. But some of these smaller ones over here, particularly Paid Network, $16 million market cap, Trust Swap, Pools Finance, they're all very, very small. Then we jump up to, of course, PokerStarter. So I think the multiples here are massive, and you don't want to get disincentivized, or another word I can pretty much say here is scared, because they're low projects right now. They're not performing. It's a very much so psychological thing where we want to look for green. Green projects validates us. Red projects equals bad, bad, bad. But in reality, these are just hidden right now, okay? So let's talk more about it. I have extrapolated a whole bunch of information. I would really appreciate this. Took me so long to get together. If you haven't liked the video already, I would really appreciate if you did right now. Unfortunately, I didn't realize this as I was making this particular sheet, but CryptoRank basically has a lot of the information I was already looking at. So I probably wasted a little bit of time for this, but at least we know it's correct. So the color codes, before I talk about anything else here, represent green is the best performing asset out of all of these in that particular area. So in this case, DAO Maker has the highest average ROI right now. Yellow means second best, and red is third. So we'll notice that straight away, DAO Maker actually wins 3 out of all of these tiers. So I think DAO Maker off the rip obviously looks the most appealing, and it really well is. But again, we're going to go over why it might not be the best buy for you in your current situation. I think before I continue here, I want to just say we will in a moment have a look at the extrapolated information. What does this all mean? How much money can we actually make based on the old results? Okay, so let's have a look here first of all, and I want to just introduce you to a few important things. Average ROI right now represents the most recent project that has launched. And of course, we basically aren't at a phase right now where a lot of projects are launching, and the ones that aren't really the best either. Are you sick and tired of these high Ethereum gas fees? Well, you know what? So am I. As we move even deeper into the bull run, it is super important to keep fees as low as possible while also keeping our options open. So I've given us the answer. Bybit isn't just an exchange, it's literally a bridge between the real world and crypto, because they have everything you possibly need all in one place. If you want to trade crypto and save $50 on a single goddamn transaction, you can use their centralized exchange or their in-house DEX called Apex for super fast, cheap swaps. You can leverage up to 100x your portfolio or use an AI bot to trade for you while you watch a no BS crypto. And if you're like me and have 90% or more of your net worth in crypto right now, why not order a Bybit card and spend your crypto anywhere without needing to go through all the annoying off-ramps? So with all that in mind, this is why I've gone ahead and partnered with Bybit for this video to bring you all you possibly need in crypto, and of course, hell of a lot more, all in one possible place. So go ahead and use the link in the description to sign up to Bybit and instantly enter your chance to win up to a $30,000 bonus. Thank you guys, back to the video. So the fact that DAO Maker has an average of 1.48x, which basically means a 2.5x, is quite good. That's the last project that they launched. So if you would have got in, instant 2.5x. Now, I want to say full disclosure, a lot of these projects aren't like you have access to all your tokens straight away. A lot of these launch pads work because effectively we're getting into it in the early venture capital rounds they do have some sort of unlock schedule, okay? You don't have access a lot of the time to all your tokens straight away, but for simplicity's sake, let's just say you could instantly 2.4x, okay? So DAOmaker takes the lead over here, Certify number 2, and PokerStarter at number 3. But keep in mind, they're all up, right? This is 60%, 80%, 70%. You would have made money on all of these, okay? The average ROI at their all-time high is ranked in this case again from GameFi number 1, number 2 PokerStarter, number 3 DAOmaker. But I want to say that this really doesn't mean that was the all-time high of their average ROI. I'm going to take you back to the screenshot over here. PokerStarter was averaging 117x in the last bull run. This is across all the projects, including the bear market as well. So that's quite impressive still. Now we're going to use this, and we're going to also use in a second here the average allocation to work out how much we actually can profit, in this case per project, and then we'll work out how much we could have made if we invested in all of the projects. So you'll notice that the second one I want to take your attention to here is the altcoins launch. Very important, because the more altcoins a project has launched, obviously makes it a more suitable investment for us, because the more that they've launched, the more reputable they are, in a way. But that kind of needs to be paired with capital raised. The more capital it's raised, the better as well. You could have 3,000 projects launched at $10 a project. So in this case, DAOmaker takes the lead by far. 71 million capital raised, and that pretty much trumps second place over here by more than a 2x. So again, by far, DAOmaker is the immediate red flashing signs as, hey, this is a really good project. However, again, the small details will start to come out now. Connected networks in this case refers to what projects on what networks are these launchpads launching projects on. What a mouthful that sentence was. So I've marked PokerStarter number 1 in this case, because PokerStarter is connected to the most, I think, but most, I guess, beneficial for particularly gaming. So gaming, I believe, will be a really big catalyst for bringing these launch pads really back up, okay? Especially thanks to Alex Becker. Now, ETH, Solana, BNB, AVAX, Matic, DOT, and CeeLo, other ones are connected to PokerStarter, and I can guarantee you right now, these will all be increasing over the next 12 to 24 months. Just like Paid Network over here, Paid only is on ETH and BNB right now, but they're looking to integrate with Sol, AVAX, Matic, DOT, ADA, and Arbitrum. Now, when that actually happens, this, in my opinion, will be number 1. Suffice to say, it will depend on what projects you're looking to get into, like what your ecosystems are. Again, I would say for the best situation, probably PokerStarter would take the win here. But again, if you want to get into something like Aptos or GameFi might be your best pick. However, we have to take into consideration the minimum tier. So basically what the minimum amount to get into these projects are. What's the very minimum amount? Now, keep in mind, these will likely 10x as the projects 10x in price. So it will get expensive, which is why we have a very short window right now. As you can see, by far, Certify is the most expensive. Thanks to Mr. Alex Becker, who's pumped the damn project up, $1,700. I know people that got in at 70 cents per S fund. Right now, I think it's about $3.45, so highly inflated, okay? So again, you might look at Pools Finance and be like, hey, the cheapest we can get into is $5 here, why not? Well, it also works on the entry protocol. Basically, is it a lottery or weighted network? Now, lottery means that it works on basically pulling names out of a hat, right? If the more basically you stake of the token, the more chance or more tickets you basically have in the raffle. Now, of course, there's a percentage that normally is worked out in this case. So you might stake, $1,000 and you might have a 10% chance to get that name out of the hat. But the benefit of a lottery-based protocol in this case is that you get a larger allocation when you win. When you win and you get into the projects, typically they're first come, first serve. So you have to be very fast with these sort of ones. But you get in and you have an allocation anywhere between like $50 to even $1,000 sometimes. It does depend on the project that is launching, how much money they've allocated of their token distribution to give to the Launchpad, and how many people then participate in the Launchpad. Needless to say, some of the bigger projects that launch will be very saturated, so that might be a little bit concerning again, because you might get that lucky chance and you might only be able to invest $50. I would still say $50 is pretty damn good, because if you 100x to $50, it's very profitable. But weighted is the alternative. So what weighted is that you are guaranteed an allocation, but your allocation depends on how much people have also put into that particular IDO. So you might get in at the bare minimum with Certify here. You might get in the very bottom tier, which is $1,700. The pool weight is 1.1, meaning that people like a couple tiers higher than you might have an allocation of a couple $100, whereas you might only be able to get $10, for example. Again, it's really hard to determine because it does depend on how much the actual project is giving away and how many people participate in that. So in my opinion, if you're asking me what is better, I always like to go lottery in this case. But if the protocol is kind of a newer one, right, you can get away with going into weighted, because weighted guarantees you in every project. There isn't a first come, first serve. You don't have a problem of bots getting in there. So in this case, for some people, that is actually better, right? You're guaranteeing it. It can't get botted. There's no first come, first serve, but the allocations are a lot less. Now, most of these lottery-based projects, by the way, have a weighted system, but it's for the very top tier. In any case, we're looking at the APY as well. Downmake is 15%, but you actually have more multiples the longer you put in. I was looking at putting mine in for about, I think it was like 300 or so days, maybe 350 days. And I was going to get basically 900% over that period of time. Insane. Because, of course, they get money back from their venture capital. If we have Seedify, 11%, couldn't find anything on PokerStarter and GameFi and Pools. They either didn't have any information or they just didn't offer staking. We have Paid Network at 15% for a single year and TrustSwap 4.3% for a single year. So in my opinion, Downmaker wins in that case. Now, the only protocol here that did not have KYC rules is Pools Finance. You have to whitelist instead. So for all you US guys, Pools is basically the only one you can look at in this case. Now, there are some conditions per project. I'm not going to go through it. If you did want to have a look at which one was the better one and have a look at, some things that benefit or actually, I guess, bring down the prestige of the project, then you want to come to this Google document and have a look yourself. The thing that you're probably all waiting for here is the average allocation. Now, again, for most of these, saw that the average allocation was about $100. But keep in mind, in this case, it could be $50. It could be $1,000. It does depend. I've gone with the average as best as possible. I think for the bottom two, for Paid Network and TrustSwap, I couldn't find any information on previous allocations. So I guessed at an average of $100 just to match these ones. I can guarantee you right now, if you buy $200 worth of GameFi at the bottom tier for this one, your allocation is max $60. For a few of these other ones as well, I did notice that there was a cap. So needless to say, I'm pretty comfortable with the results for this. As you can see here, by far, Downmaker is the number one profit maker, $418,000. Close second over here, we had PokerStarter, and third, we actually had Paid Network. So the question becomes, which ones do I have to buy? Well, here's my answer to you. Let me just zoom in really quickly here. If it was me, okay, I would look at if you had $1,000 or less getting either into GameFi or Paid Network. So Paid Network works on a ticket system, at least right up until Galaxy tier. In Galaxy, you do get one guaranteed allocation, but until we have 74,000 staked tokens, it is 1,000 tokens equals one ticket. Now with $1,000, we can get 4,000 tokens, which is 4 tickets. So that's pretty good. But the reason why I'm really bullish on Paid Network here is because Kyle Chase founded it. Kyle Chase is also the founder of Master Ventures as well, a venture capital fund. He is very well connected in this space, and quite obviously he is a YouTuber as well. This guy is the shit, particularly when it comes to launchpads and venture capital. Now, GameFi is the other alternative here. With GameFi, you can get just under right now the elite tier. I think you spend about $1,100 and you get this tier. You get a lottery, but it's $300 max allocation. So that's pretty good. You get a massive allocation in this case, so going from the $60 to the $300. Now, for $5,000 and less, I would personally go with Downmaker in this case. For $5,000, you get into tier 2, you get max 6 allocations. Now, I have worked this out. One allocation is about $100, okay? So you would get maximum allocation per project of $600, but you'd only basically get a 10-15% chance or so to actually get into a project, so quite low in this case. But for number one, if you had $30,000 or more, I know that's a lot of money for a lot of people, I would personally go with PokerStarter. Why PokerStarter? Well, because in the last tier, it requires 30,000 Pulse tokens to be staked. Right now, that is $30,000. You'd have an additional 0.25 tickets to be able to get into the lotteries. Plus, also, you'd have no cooldown. For every other tier underneath the $30,000 level, you have a 7-day cooldown. For this, you have no cooldown. Now, PokerStarter is very well known to be like one of, if not the very best launchpad there is. So if you had this money and I want to have this tier, hopefully we have a crash, I want to personally get into this. Again, PokerStarter by far is one of the very best, if not the best tier, and it all speaks for itself. One of the most networks, second best capital raised, third best amount of altcoins launched, second best ROI all-time high. And again, in a bull run, it was a lot more than that as well. And total profit would have been the second best in this case. I wouldn't put DAOmaker in number one place if you had $30,000 to spend, just because, again, of the tiering system in this case, you're not really getting that massive bang for your buck. You're only basically getting 20% chance of getting in. So it's much more beneficial to go with PokerStarter. So with that, you get about 75% chance to actually get into an allocation. So 3/4 of a chance you're going to be pretty good, especially if you can just consistently get into altcoin after altcoin after altcoin. And again, the allocation in this case is based on a lottery, meaning that you are going to get higher entries. So with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed. I understand it was a very long one, and if you aren't accustomed to Launchpads, this might have been a bit of a head melt, but please do some more research and let me know down below if you want me to actually make a video on an individual project. I am looking to invest in PokerStarter and DAOmaker, personally speaking here, and a very close second, in my opinion, is Paid Network. With that said, thank you all. Talk to you all soon. Take care.